Maybe you wonder how a Jewish girl from Des Moines got Jesus Christ tattooed on her 3 times. It wasn't religion that put them there. It was Tiny, my husband. He was going to give me Moses parting the Red Sea, but I told him I was beginning to feel like a Great Figures in Religion comic book. He got dreamy-eyed when he heard that. Brigham Young. And some wives. Tiny, I've got no room for a polygamist. I met Tiny when I was 18, and he was 49. I saw that he was shorter than me, but his charm was as easy as his needle. Tiny had been married 3 times before he met me. I only had him. At the risk of sounding nostalgic, back in my day, we memorized people's phone numbers. We hoped video rentals were rewound, and we knew 9 planets revolved around our sun. Rest in peace, Pluto. As times have changed, so too has the love letter. The Huffington Post, October 12, 2015, argues, the love letter is dead, shriveled up in a world where heartfelt affection is an emoji of a panda with hearts for eyes. While words could be challenging for some, perhaps we should begin making our declarations of adoration with something equally profound. It's Bad Luck to Die by Elizabeth McCracken. Tiny didn't give me my first tattoo till a year after we met, the day after we were married. A little butterfly pooled in the small of my back. It didn't take me long to get used to the needles. I learned to love it. Tiny loved Bing Crosby and at one point wanted to tattoo his face on me, but I put my foot down on that one. He gave me 2 tattoos a year for our first years of marriage. Carnations, a bomber plane, his initials. When I told my mother, she said, "Sweethearts carve their names on trees, not each other." When I went to have lunch with her, I dressed carefully. My sleeves got longer whenever I left the shop. I hated nosy women in the grocery store trying to read my arm as I reached for peas. Most asked the same thing. Does it hurt? Of course it hurts. But look what you get. Something that can't be stolen, pawned, lost, forgotten, or outgrown. When we were first married, he revealed a different tattoo every night. A rose on a big toe, his own signature crooked on the inside of his lip. One night, he turned up his eyelids, and there was a star floating on the back of each. He showed me these designs like he was performing magic tricks, and sometimes I expected him to wave his hand over his toe, and the rose would disappear and end up cupped in his palm. My life drove my mother crazy. Does it ever occur to you that you are not leading a normal life? All she ever wanted was for me to become miraculously blank. I broke her heart. That was my job. She let me know her heart was broken. That was hers. After we'd been married 10 years, Tiny started to work bigger. Eventually, he left only my hands, feet, and neck blank. I can still get dressed and look unmarked. But look at me undressed. I've got George Washington on one arm and Lincoln freeing the slaves on the other. I've got a garden in between my breasts. I've got a pair of arms sinking into my belly button with the caption, "Help, let me out!" Tattoos confound my mother. Well, you finally made yourself into the freak you always thought you were. My mother was wrong. I knew myself under my clothes, could prick a finger on a rose thorn, strum an angel's wing, trace the heart Tiny had given me after our first fight. It's like when you move into a new place and that place doesn't feel like home. Maybe you don't unpack. Maybe you leave walls blank. Well, getting a tattoo, it's like hanging drapes. It's deciding that you moved in. When Tiny turned 70, he retired. His hands were beginning to shake and he hated the idea of sloppy work. He tried to convince me to learn. I told him no. I wasn't brave. One night, his arm started hurting. I'm calling an ambulance. Don't. It's like saying there's something wrong. It's bad luck. It's bad luck to die. While he sat in that hospital bed, Tiny asked me an impossible favor. He wanted me to bring in the needle and put my initials on him. You have my initials on you, but I don't have yours. It's bad luck. This is a hospital, I said, like maybe he hadn't noticed. Sterile conditions. Do me a favor, huh? Don't forget me. So I brought in the needles and ink. I started with a G. I hoped it would keep him going. By the end of the week, Tiny's arm said, "Get well." Well, it's a little boring. It's going to get more interesting. Tomorrow, you get fancy. Put a heart for love. But he died, left without my name or love, with only my good wishes on his arm. My mother asked me, what man will want you when someone else has been scribbling all over you? How could I explain? She has always been a glamorous woman, never going anywhere without a mirror. When I was younger, I didn't look at a mirror at all. I avoided my shadow passing in shop windows. Tiny changed that. I go to work at the library in skirts and short sleeves, no stockings. The director told me I'm frightening people. I'm sorry, I told her. These are my widow's weeds. I got a letter from a young tattooist who said Tiny was a great artist. And I was proof. He said I was better than any museum. I told him I understood. But really, I am not a museum. Not yet. I'm a love letter. A love letter.